honestly, if we put in Brock Purdy in a category with, I guess, what the Jared Goffs, I don't even really consider Kirk Cousins anymore. Kurt is north of wherever he's north now. He's had the injuries. But if we put Brock Purdy in the same category with the other quarterbacks, the guys that we don't view as the big time elite quarterbacks, at least from a physical talent standpoint, what's the difference between him and everybody else? Like, you can make the argument that if you give Brock Purdy a healthy 49er team, and he's healthy, that team has just as good of a chance to get to the Super Bowl as anybody. Now, they've led the league in injuries or been at least top 2 or 3 in injuries the past 5 years, maybe, under
Yeah.
Shanahan, and they still consistently scratch and crawl and bite and fight their way to 11 wins, 12 wins. But you still not get that, yeah, we can get over the hump feeling from Brock Purdy? Because I don't.
Like win Super Bowl because they won big games before. I mean, what he's been to a couple NFC Championship games. He's won one. The other one he got hurt early in the game. So I mean, we've seen him win big games, but I mean, as far as winning Super Bowl, I mean, I don't know. They got close a couple times, right? Or once with him, I should say. The other one was Jimmy Garoppolo, and he overthrew Emmanuel Sanders. I know Niner fans probably don't want to remember that, but that's what it was. So perhaps he's got to stay healthy though, man. This, last season he was dealing with what turf toe. He
Yeah.
was out for a while, and then Mac Jones came in and was able to win some games. So, look, last season they did a great job, even with all the injuries, the Brandon Ayuk distraction, winning football games, getting to the playoffs, beating the Eagles in Philadelphia, and then losing in the divisional round. But I mean, shit, it was probably one of the better coaching jobs in the league last season.
No, no, Noah's taking not a single thing away from the coaching job. I think he's an excellent, excellent head coach. And you
Yeah,
have to be an excellent leader of men and manager of talents to be able to consistently get a team that's leading the top five in the NFL in injuries year in, year out to 11 wins or 12 wins. But they just feel like, and you brought it up before we started the video, it still kind of feels like when you look at that roster overall, they're closer to a rebuild than they admit. But it's strange because you don't feel right, you don't feel correct saying that they're close to a rebuild when they're winning 12 games.
yeah.
But
Well,
it just feels like when you look at the roster, like, come on now. They listen, they allocated a decent amount of picks last year's draft on the defensive side of the football, and they played a lot of those guys. But offensively, you pointed it out. Like, they got questions about Trent Williams,
man,
Christian McCaffrey long term, George Kittle long term, the interior of that offensive line as well.
Ricky
They have
Pearsall.
zero wide receiver that they can count on week in, week out. You got rid of Samuel last offseason. So, but they still won 12 games. So it still feels weird saying that they're close to a rebuild, but they
Well,
honestly are kind of close to a rebuild
it might not be a
on the
rebuild, but
fly.
it might be like retooling. I guess you could say,
Yeah.
right. And yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about, right, Trent Williams. He was dealing with injuries last season. I mean, how he's an older player. I mean, how longer is he going to play still, right? And then you got this whole Brandon Ayuk situation. He got paid and then essentially did not play this year, so he's not going to be back. I mean, essentially, the coach and GM already came out and said he's not going to be a Niner next season, right? So that is going to be an area that they're going to need to address in free agency or the draft, right? And then Christian McCaffrey, are we really going to see the production that we saw this season next year? I mean, if I'm the Niners, I'm trying to get help for him. That way, he's able to stay healthy for the full season. Which I mean, this year he did a pretty good job of that, but
Yeah.
he's he has an injury history.
Yeah. Like you said, I mean, as an organization, how many more pitches you want to keep throwing at them before you realize that, okay, we're going to start striking out with them. Hell of a player when he's healthy. I think C Mac in his prime was probably one of the top 3 or 4 backs in all of football for a good 5, 6, 7 year stretch. The injury started to catch up with him. That's going back to when he was in Carolina, matter of fact,
Yeah,
and was still sharing the load a little bit there. But like teams that are, if you look at the Atlanta Falcons, for example, the Detroit Lions, both of those teams have guys who are considered potentially generational type players at running back positions, and Jameer Gibbs, Bijan Robinson. Those are two guys that are going to really get paid. But when you look at it from a different perspective, you have to know when to fold when it comes to these older running backs, man. And I think the signs are always on the wall, whether teams want to admit it or not. But they're so dependent on him and the offense running through him that I believe if you remove C Mac from that offense next season completely, like God forbid he has an injury in the offseason, he doesn't play in 2026 or whatever, or they cut him, whatever it may be. We have no idea what that offense is going to look like because even Kittle, Kittle may say he's going to play next season or he say he's going to be ready for week 1. But the 49ers, man, being honest, they have a lot of questions coming up the next couple of years. Like Kittle is, and I've said for the last 3 years, for the most part, George Kittle is their best offensive player.
Yeah.
You can make the argument he's their best football player pound for pound. But once
Well,
those players
Fred
start to
Warner's
fall
pretty
off,
good.
everybody, true that.
Yeah.
But everybody's got a prime, bro.
Yeah. Well,
Everybody's
I
got a
mean,
window. We talk about Super Bowl windows at nauseum during the NFL season. And if you're the 49ers, you may still be winning 11 games, 12 games, but ultimately you may not be seriously able to really compete for a Super Bowl because you're still missing some things. Main thing is health. Like they just can't stay healthy at all. But, you know, we argue the quarterback position for them. We both believe Brock he's proven that he's been good enough to get them there. He's been to 2 NFC championship games. But we still kind of come to an agreement that he's a guy who, if you give him everything around him, I believe they can get back with him. Can they ultimately win it though on the big stage? And there's a lot of quarterbacks in the league that honestly fall into that category though. Give them
yeah,
everything and they can get you there.
yeah. I,
But
I
health is
completely
the thing
understand.
with him as well.
Well, it is, and that's why I mean, if you're the Niners, you better keep Mac Jones around. And I know he's still in the contract, but you're probably going to get a couple phone calls. Hey, look, man, we know what Mac Jones is.
I know.
He might not be a starter, but I mean, essentially last season when he was able to go in there and play, right, he played well. I mean, you even had some people saying that maybe Mac Jones should be the starting quarterback instead of Brock Purdy. Mac Jones, that draft with the was it Trey Lance or am I thinking a different one?
Yeah.
They
Yep.
were saying that was it Kyle preferred Mac over Trey Lance, I believe, right? And then the organization decided, to do with whatever they did. So, I mean, look, if I was them, I'd probably keep Mac unless you're going to get something big from another football team. But yeah, man, health is one of the issues with Brock. It was this last season.
Well, I mean, they're going into a next season. They're going to pretty much get younger.
Have you
I
seen
don't
their
think the
travel
40.
schedule?
Nah, not as late.
They're going to play in Australia, which is going to be the first NFL game play there, I believe, at that stadium. And that is going to be a week 1, I believe. And then they're going to play in Mexico City later in the season. And they're playing on the East Coast twice, back to I don't know. It's a lot of miles,
Yeah, I mean, they're still a
but we.
brand also.
Oh yeah,
That's what we have to understand.
it's a money. It's a business thing. It's a money thing.
Yeah, so people still want to see the 49ers. They still want to see the Dallas Cowboys. They still want to see the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know about the Giants and Jets and all those teams, but there's
The
still
Jags,
certain teams.
the
Yeah,
Jags
Kansas
too.
City Chiefs. Yeah,
The
they
Jags haven't
love
won
the
the.
Jags. The Jags are almost their team. It wouldn't surprise me if they moved the Jags across the water.
It was rumored that they were going to, but apparently, they got a deal done for the stadium. Even though I believe next season or the year after that, they're not going to be playing actually in Jacksonville. They're going to be playing it in Orlando while the stadium gets redone.
Well, at the end of the day, forget all of it. Let's move on though, because we do want to get to some stories from this actual week. Um, just something new we want to bring to everyone. So we figure, I guess, on Saturdays for moving on forward, we can go through some of the big stories from NFL.com, things that happened throughout the week. So something you and I want to go ahead and jump right into because we were just discussing this morning, actually. Seahawks, Jackson Smith and Jigba not pressed, but believes he deserves top paid wide receiver. Get into a little bit of this article from Bobby Kalnak. Yeah, Bobby Kalnak, digital content producer. Says Seattle won Super Bowl 60 with the roster built out of homegrown talent and savvy signings, leaving the Seahawks with the sixth most cap space in the league to go along with the Lombardi Trophy heading into the offseason. As is often the case, though, the bill is set to come due, and there's likely no larger payday on the horizon for the team than Jackson Smith and Jigba. The recently named Offensive Player of the Year heads into year 4 of eligibility for an extension for the first time in his career. Although he is plenty patient, he also well aware he qualifies for top of the line money. I'm really not too pressed. Quote, I'm really not too pressed right now to get it done, Smith and Jigba told Jonah Java of WFAA. I know my time is coming, and when we get it done, it's gonna be a great deal. And you know how God's timing is perfect timing. So whenever that may come, we'll be ready for it. And I believe I deserve to be the highest paid in my position. Just what I give to the game and the community, I give it my all. I think that's worth a lot. So now, what do you honestly read into that?
He wants to
Because
get
he's
paid.
pressed.
He wants to
I'm
get
not
paid.
pressed, but I
Look,
want a lot of money.
look. He wants a new contract. He wants to be the top paid receiver in the league.
True.
He's coming off a great season, right? He won the offensive player of the year award, won a Super Bowl. We saw how dominant he was during the playoffs. So, I mean, to me, you have to pay him, and maybe that's why they're not going to tag Kenneth Walker the third because they know that hey, we're going to have to pay this guy. So, I want to go through some of the numbers of the top paid receivers in the league. Obviously, Jamar Chase is one, and he's at $161 million. And then you got Justin Jefferson at 140, CeeDee Lamb at 136, DK at 131, and then you have Garrett Wilson at 130. Now, I want to do a little exercise with you. So, I'm going to name these players. You tell me if you think Jackson Smith and Jigba is better than them. All right, so I'm just going to start from the top. Jamar Chase,
No,
Justin Jefferson,
no,
CeeDee Lamb.
yes.
Okay. All right, we'll stop there. All right, so CeeDee Lamb is making $136 million. So if he wants to be paid the top as a top receiver, that's north of 161. I don't think that's going to happen.
Total value for CD Lamb 136 million. Annual
Well,
per year is
and I
34.
yeah, that's 34 million
Well, if we look at the
for Lamb.
guaranteed money, Justin's got the most guaranteed money out of all of them at 88 million total guaranteed. Jamar Chase has 73.9 million. CD has 67 million. So it could be a situation where Jackson Smith and Jigba, and it all comes down to how the Seattle Seahawks organization really want to do business. And if they will do this type of business with them for that type of money, because listen, they just paid DK Metcalf a hefty amount of money and they wound up trading him. Not saying that they would trade Smith and Jigba, but if
Well,
you just look at the
he
money,
well
he
he
can
got
at least
traded.
make more than CD Lamb. Maybe
Well, he got
yep,
DK got traded, and then he got the contract from Pittsburgh. So,
yeah, yeah.
um,
So
that's a lot of money, though, man. I mean, look, Jackson Smith, he's good, man. He's a good player. But
how
I
old
mean,
is
are
he?
what 24, 25?
Yeah. So in theory, I would say he's going to at least make more than CD Lamb. CD Lamb has a total value of 136 million, 67 of it fully guaranteed. So if I can get maybe not counting the man's money or even trying to be an accountant behind this, but you're thinking what? Smith and Jigba somewhere around maybe total value 145 million.
Well, here's the other important part that we didn't talk about yet is that they're going to sell the team, right? So it's already out there. Someone's going to purchase the team. Who knows what how much kind of money that they're going to demand?
Amazon.
But well, I mean, everybody assumes it's going to be Bezos, yeah, right, from Amazon, the owner. But apparently, he doesn't live in Seattle anymore. He lives in Florida. So they're saying now he's a little bit more of an East Coast guy. But who knows? But someone's going to buy the team in Seattle. So I think that goes into it too, man. Who's gonna buy him for how much?
Yeah, but it's going to be a business more than likely. I don't think it's going
Yeah.
to be someone or people whose hearts are necessarily rooted in that team or that city, that state, that organization. So they may be more pressed to pay their best wide receiver, their best player
Well, they got to
at
pay him,
that
and I think
time.
they
But
will.
yeah, yeah, I think it's all about where do we think the money ultimately is going to get slotted at. I believe he's going to make more than CD Lamb for sure. Now, higher than Jamar Chase, I don't know, but the question is, do they get the extension done this offseason? You think they get
I
it
think
done
they
this
do.
offseason?
Yeah, I think so. I think they'll be pressed
Smith.
to get it done.
Well,
Yeah, I think John Schneider figures it out. So and they'll give him a new deal and something like he's looking for. I don't know. It might not be 161, but probably be around that ballpark.
yeah, but we agree more than CD Lamb.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree
Well,
with you on that part. Sorry, Cowboy fans.
ah. All right, man. So let's move on to this next story. Not to just stay stuck on this top row, but these are two stories that we both discuss. So, Buccaneers quarterback Baker Mayfield discusses beef with former head coach, new NFC South rival Kevin Stefanski. This article is by Grant Gordon of Digital Creator. Some anticipation and a bit of ill will was added to the Atlanta Falcons Tampa Bay Buccaneers rivalry via a Baker Mayfield January 20th social media post. Clearly, still perturbed by how his tenure ended with the Cleveland Browns and the former head coach Kevin Stefanski, Mayfield quipped, "Can't wait to see you twice a year, coach," ahead of his Bucks now facing Stefanski's Falcons in an annual NFC South double dips. More recently, though, I had to exit that off of there. More recently, though, Mayfield somewhat downplayed any beef with the coach who coached him for 4 years. I mean, for a year plus in Cleveland, which was kind of, toxic.
Yeah.
We remember what happened when Coach was there prior and the whole situation with Mayfield, but
Yep.
there's stuff there, but it's not like it's beef. Mayfield said in a Super Bowl 60 Radio Row interview with Sports Illustrated. "We've worked together. Anytime you know somebody, you want to beat them, whether it's good or bad relationship." So we both know, I think we're all aware, Baker Mayfield is a very competitive guy. He carries a chip on the shoulder the size of the Golden Nugget in Vegas, and we all know the rest of Jay Z's lyrics when it comes to that. Um, Baker, I think anybody that wore a Browns uniform or wore a Browns polo or wore a Browns parka or validated Browns parking at that point in time is a enemy to Baker, man. I like Baker. I rocks with Baker, man. Baker, he ball out on the field too. Um, I'm a fan of radio. I'm a fan of podcasts, and I think this just adds to more content for us to talk about during the
Yeah.
NFL season. What do you really make of it though? Because the Falcons got some
Well.
issues. We talked about it a couple of nights ago in regards to finding the quarterback,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Baker has a tendency to step up when he feel like he's been stepped on. So, what do you make of this?
Well, think about the whole situation with them, right? Deshaun Watson. When Deshaun Watson was going to be traded, or was he released? Yeah, he was released, right? Um, the whole thing with the Houston Texans saying, "Oh, well, Cleveland was one of the first teams I think that reached out to Deshaun Watson, essentially kind of offering him a deal," and he said no. So then it was, I believe it was between New Orleans and Atlanta, and then the Browns kind of came back with more money, and he ended up signing with the Browns, and the Browns got rid of Baker Mayfield. He went to Carolina, right? Did not work out for him good there, and I mean, obviously there's a grudge there, and I think he had mentioned that after he had left, that Kevin Stefanski did not reach out once to him, and it obviously seems like it bothered him. And then after the whole tweet that he did, Joe Thomas, former left tackle for the Browns, kind of said, "Hey, the film works both ways. You could have reached out to coach as well." So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, how
Obviously,
they treated him though, like
he's
it's
upset, man. He's upset the way the whole relationship ended with the Browns. Then he was the first quarterback to take him back to the playoffs, and I don't know how long. He won a playoff game in Pittsburgh.
but come on, man. Let's be honest. Why do I have to reach out though? Y'all the ones treating me bad. Like
I
you
get it.
go out and you
I
get
get
this
all
guy.
that.
You treat me bad because you think you're about to hit the jackpot with
Well,
Deshaun Watson. You
it
already allowing my wide receiver and his dad to trash me publicly, and you never told them to put a stop to it. Like they were like, why? Who reaches out to somebody that's breaking up with them though?
it's the Browns, man. Are we surprised? But I mean, maybe he
The
felt like it
phone
was
works both ways
well,
though.
maybe
Like really?
maybe maybe Baker felt that it was more of a front office deal than it was
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski, and maybe he was trying to give him the benefit of doubt. But look, it did not work out for the Browns. It's kind of working out for Baker Mayfield right now, right? He's kind of found a new career right there with the Bucks, and yeah. So I mean, obviously it's the off season. Um, him doing that obviously is going to bring a conversation about the whole situation there in Cleveland. But yeah, man, it all has to do with Deshaun Watson and all the money that they offered him, and then they got rid of Baker.
Well, I mean, listen, that one move set off a chain of events, man. Set off a chain of events. You know, you're talking about what 3 years later, and neither one. Well, Deshaun Watson technically is what's still on the roster.
Doesn't it feel like it was like 10 years ago?
That oh yeah, the whole massage
Yeah,
situation happened,
yeah.
and he ultimately decided he no longer wanted to play for the Houston Texans, and then the stories broke. It does seem like it was about 6 7 years ago.
It feels like it's been like 10 years, and maybe because we really haven't seen Deshaun play, in a couple of years, and
Yeah,
yeah, but it just seems like it was a long time ago, and it kind of was. I mean, what we're in 2026 to happen, and what 21.
yeah. So all right, let's get through this news, man. Actually, you know what? Let's keep things in Atlanta. Um, so Matt Ryan, I don't know what to really make of this, but you know more than I do when it comes to a lot of stuff. You read between the lines a little bit better than me. So, uh, Matt Ryan excited by Michael Penix's ability to quote unquote spin football.
Of course he is.
Says Falcon says says Falcons quarterback must get healthy first. Of course he does. Article by
Yeah.
Kevin Patra. The new brass taking over in Atlanta has thrust speculation about the future at quarterback, where Michael Penix continues to rehab from an ACL tear. After taking over the organization's Falcons president, Matt Ryan gave a lukewarm assessment of
Mhm.
Penix, declining to commit to the third-year pro. The former Pro Bowl quarterback seems to be warming up to the idea. Speaking recently on Sirius XM NFL Radio, Ryan said that Penix must first get healthy, and the club believes he's on a good pace in rehab. I have had the opportunity to sit with Michael, and number one, how do we bring him along? You get healthy first, Ryan said. The first thing you've got to do is get yourself in a place where we can practice and do that. So, job number one for Michael is to keep doing exactly what he's doing. He's been in our building doing his rehab. He's in a good place right now. As a former player, as a former player, like it never leaves me. Everybody's like, when is he going? When is he going to be back? Well, you don't know. There's ups and downs that come with the rehab space, but we feel like we're on track and in a good place. I mean, a good space with Michael right now. This dog just making all types of noise over here.
Man,
So,
he's
um, first things first.
oh
I have, if I'm Matt Ryan, I have no connections to you. Let's be honest about it. Matt Ryan will be here way longer than Michael Penix. Matt
yes,
Ryan has good history with his organization. He has very good history with that community. He has good relationship with the man upstairs, Mr. Blank, who writes the checks.
the blank checks.
Michael Penix, I don't believe he's an afterthought. I believe he's fallen victim to a situation where the people who drafted you are no longer there.
Hmm.
And the first impression that you give off to the new brass is I'm hurt. I'm not even in
Well,
facilities right now. And everybody wants their own people. Let's be real about it, man. If me and you took
yeah,
over an organization right now, if there's a quarterback that's not one of the five best in football or one of the younger guys who's considered to be one of the 10 best in football, we're probably already thinking about how the hell do we replace this stiff.
before I even take the job, I'm already thinking about a replacement. Like, that's
Yeah,
the way it works, man.
yeah.
Um, but what else were people expecting Matt Ryan to say about Michael Penix? He's not going to come out and say, "Hey, I don't want this guy on the team." Like, he's not going to do that. But obviously, they're in a situation where Michael Penix has an injury history, right? And then now he tears his ACL again. He's an older quarterback. So, I mean, if you're the Falcons, no doubt you're going to be looking to add a quarterback during free agency or the draft. We know Kirk Cousins is not going to be there next season, right? So, um, what do we expect Matt Ryan to say at this point? So,
Had to unmute myself. Yeah, listen.
it,
Absolutely. I mean, he's a classy guy. I think Matt Ryan can read the room.
yeah, I mean,
He's had he's had the conversation, so he knows
he's
what
no
the plan
dummy.
is.
Yeah,
Yes, of course. We're not taking the job unless we know what the plan is ultimately at the quarterback position.
like he had to be enticed by something, right?
Is at the
As far
quarterback
as
position.
he had to be enticed by Arthur Blank saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna let you, run the organization." And I know they're not gonna hire a GM right now. I think they said they're gonna wait till after the draft, which is a little bit odd, right? The timing of everything, but essentially Matt Ryan's gonna be in charge there.
Yep, for a very long time, sir. For a
Yep.
very long time. When it first happened, I think you and I both said it made sense. We both thought it made sense.
I'm
I
surprised it
kind
didn't
of, I
happen
kind of,
sooner.
yeah, exactly. We both kind of felt like
Yeah.
this is something that probably this marriage probably should have happened 2 years ago,
But
maybe
Matt
three
Ryan's
years
really good
ago.
on TV too. I mean, he did a tremendous job with CBS.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now, does any of that guarantee that he's going to be a great GM? Of course not. But I
Well,
think it points to how do you read a room? Do you know exactly how to eloquently put yourself and get your point across? And he's a solid guy. If you're just banking on a quarterback who knows the football team, knows the quarterback position, knows the organization, knows the expectations, it just seems like a marriage that just ultimately just made sense and should have happened a long time ago. So, but all right, so moving on, man. Um, let's stop at some NFL draft stuff real quick. This came out February 19th. Seven biggest NFL draft takeaways from Daniel Jeremiah's pre-combine conference call. This comes from Daniel Parr. NFL Network draft analyst Daniel Jeremiah had his annual pre-draft NFL Combine conference call with members of the media on Thursday, answering questions for 2 hours. Here are seven takeaways from the event. Programming note: NFL Network and NFL Plus will have whatever. All right, so number one thing: potential quarterback trade draft targets for the Jets. With mock drafters far and wide projecting the Raiders to select Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza first overall, the intrigue in this year's draft starts with the Jets, who hold the second pick, which is coincidentally something we talked about before the video. While the team clearly has a massive need at quarterback, Jeremiah said he doesn't see another passer in the draft worthy of a selection at number two, and he's not sure taking one with any of their next three picks. Wow. Number 16, 33, and 44 would make sense for the franchise either. Now that's really interesting. Really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Instead, Jeremiah said the Jets should be kicking the tires on a couple veteran backups to gauge their availability on the trade market. The Eagles, Tanner McKee,
That's
and
your
the
guy.
Texans, Davis Mills. Okay, well, both of them could use a fresh start. Those are a couple guys I'd be curious about taking a flyer on for a year if you can trade a mid-round pick, he said. I don't think I would lean in the direction of the draft for their quarterback this year. I think they will be all in for that next year. The best
Ye-
route for the Jets to take in the draft this year might be to build in the trenches and collect as much capital as possible for next year along the way.
All right.
Um,
So
yep,
just real quick. Obviously, everything that was said in the article is good, but there's one thing that's missing. Aaron Glenn does not have a couple of seasons to fix the situation with the Jets. He does not. So that being said, you're probably not going to draft the quarterback with the second overall pick. Uh, you need a lot of things on the roster, so maybe you trade back to a team that wants to move up to two to get. I'm not sure who, right? I mean, is it that linebacker from
Arvell Reese
yeah
from Ohio State.
from Ohio State? Um, is it Caleb Downs? Like I don't know. Like who would you assess right now to be the second best player? Because you're
Um,
drafting for need, right? Or
well, I
best
told you
available.
before. Listen, if I'm the Jets, if you're not taking a quarterback at number 2 this year, I don't think there's a single guy I feel consistently comfortable saying is the bona fide number 2 overall player or pick in this class. I like it. Listen, I like Arvell Reese. As much as I like Arvell Reese, I believe he's a weapon within the front seven that he's only going to be as good as what you have him surrounded by. Could be wrong about that. But there's a handful of guys that I consistently feel that way about, and if that's how you view the number 2 overall pick, and we talked about last year's draft, okay, Cam Ward was essentially the number 1 overall pick. There was nobody that was going to challenge him at number 1. Not Jackson Dart, not Shador Sanders, not anybody else who was in that class, not Tyler Shuck, none of those guys, even though Shuck turned out to be actually play the best out of all of them. He didn't play as many games as Cam Ward, but he played overall, I think, from the position standpoint, better than Cam Ward all season. But if you're the Jets, how much job security do you have? And we talked about this. Maybe he has an understanding with the organization. Listen, they allowed him to get rid of their 2 best players that they drafted. He didn't draft them. The organization drafted him before he got there. They traded Quentin Williams and they traded Sauce Gardner and they got the draft capital in return. I don't think they allowed him to have those type of decisions because make no mistakes about it. He may not have made the actual decisions, but he signed off on them.
Yeah.
He had that signed off on him. So if let's just look at it from this standpoint of him having job security for at least another 2 years. What if they've talked to him? You've got at least 3 years, bro. With that being said, I would probably move the number 2 overall pick this year. I'm with Daniel Jeremiah on that. I would probably think about quarterback in 2027 and Ruben Bain Jr., Arvell Reese. They could use offensive tackle help, but none of those guys are worth the number 2 overall pick. I like Ty Simpson at quarterback, but I'm not as down on Simpson as he is now. If Simpson is there at 44, I think they take him. I
You
definitely
think
think they
so?
take him. It would be foolish to not take a quarterback. Listen, you had 2 first round picks. You had the number 2 overall pick and you had the 16th overall pick. Let's just say they used both of those picks on positional players. They got 2 defensive players with those 2 picks. So they got Caleb Downs at number 2 and they got an offensive tackle at 16 or whatever combination, a corner, whatever combination you think they need. Why would you not take a flyer on a quarterback in the third? I mean, at pick 44.
Yeah, no. I agree. You need
Yeah,
one, so you have to figure that out.
yeah. You never know who you might hit on. But ultimately, and I agree, it comes down to how much time does he have? And are you just did you just use me for a year and a half to stockpile draft picks to make this job more attractive for you to go after
Arch Manning when
um
he comes out next season.
or to go after whatever head coach may be available next offseason?
Man, but the
I
Jets
mean,
are
it's a wicked
disaster.
business, man.
It is, man,
It's a
and
wi-
you brought it up earlier that maybe Aaron Glenn should have taken the Saints job instead of the Jets.
yeah. I mean, now it's hindsight. Like nobody knew that Tyler Shuck was going to turn out to be the player he turned out to be. I think we both thought that Spencer Rattler was going to get, and Rattler got a fair shake. I'm not going to say Rattler didn't get a fair shake,
Yeah, but
but he fell victim to a person who works at a job that doesn't do anything to get fired, but they don't do anything to make a difference. And that's kind of what he did. He didn't turn the ball over. He took all the check downs. He
hmm
made the right decisions, but he didn't challenge the field. He didn't really push the ball downfield. His thing was he played more so to not lose the job,
yeah,
I think, and he ended up losing the job that way. But Tanner McKee, that's interesting because that kind of transitions us over into talking about the Philadelphia Eagles also a little bit. But I think there's no way they trade him.
they
And
trade who? Tanner McKee.
yeah, I don't think they trade Tanner McKee, man. They
Um,
drafted him. I think they like him. There's questions about the guy they have at quarterback right now.
man,
If
we
you
need to
if
stop.
you it
We need to
and no,
stop.
but listen, we gonna get into that because the next story coincides with this story. So let's just say they trade AJ Brown.
To who?
I mean, does that necessarily make Jalen Hurts a better quarterback?
No.
Just being honest, I don't think it makes him any better. That puts more of a target, honestly, on Devontae Smith, and Devontae's a guy that you did pay, of course. But I don't know, man. Tanner McKee's he hasn't played a ton of football, as we know. He went on a mission coming out of high school, so he didn't play his first 2 years of college football. Played his last two at Stanford. Suffered a couple injuries. Played behind a poor offensive line at Stanford. Could always see the field, made a lot of correct decisions, can push the ball down the field, remind me a lot of Matt Ryan. Actually had my entire my scouting report about him, which I haven't looked at in about 4 years, but that's how far it goes back. I just don't think they do it. I don't think the fact they listen, after we saw the playoff performance that we saw from CJ Stroud, I'm not sure if Houston moves on from Davis Mills neither.
Well,
Davis
one
Mills
could,
played well
well,
before Stroud got there. Just that
well,
final year, the
one could
offensive line
argue,
got him killed.
one could argue that D'Amico Ryan should have benched C.J. Stroud in that second half and put Davis Mills in and see what would have happened. Because I'm sure it couldn't have been worse than what we saw.
I get it. I get it. But
It was bad, real bad.
do you so you walk in that fine line of what's more important? Me protecting my young quarterback, his psyche, or this game, right? Saying long
My
term for the next 10 years,
my job
or
is to
do I
win.
risk losing him?
My
I
job
don't
is to
think the
win
decision
football
is as
games.
easy as people thought it was, though.
But here's the thing, though. It's not guaranteed that I'm going to be back in the divisional round again next year.
I get
It's
that.
not. Nothing's guaranteed in life, and we know that, right? So at that point, after seeing the quarterback play in the first half against the Patriots, you have a decision to make. And to me, it was kind of like, well, can't get much worse than this. Well, we'll see what Davis Mills, does in the second half. And no, he left CJ in there.
I get it, but if we looking at it potentially from his standpoint, we can look at it from a baseball standpoint. Okay, you got your ace out there, right? He don't have his best stuff. He
We've seen
got
it happen.
he got shelled for a 3-run home run. We were up 6-1. Now it's a 6-4 game. Do I trust him to pitch his way out of this? Do I risk losing saying him losing his confidence or losing his confidence in me or his trust in me? We've seen coaches in baseball leave him out there too long, and dude gives up a grand slam, game over now.
And guess what? The same thing can be said. You let them in there for too long. Now his confidence is shot.
Well, if it's
He,
confident, well,
And you can go
I
either way,
I
man. But look, man,
I get it,
D'Amico
but
Ryan's
I
job
can see
at
why they
the
wouldn't.
at the end of the day, though, is to win games. And to me, they had an
Who
opportunity
was
with
the
that
last quarterback that
defense.
got pulled? We've seen some bad performances by quarterbacks in
Well,
the
didn't
playoffs.
Peyton
Who was
Manning
the
get
last one
pulled?
to
But he
get
was
pulled?
hurt.
He was
He got
hurt.
a neck injury. Well, he couldn't throw the ball,
but
man, towards the end,
yeah, I get it.
that season.
No, but
So,
like being pulled in a playoff game, like for ineffectiveness. Like when was the last time?
but I think that situation is a little bit different because there was games that CJ did not play this year, right? I think he had a concussion, and Davis Mills came in and played. So I mean, maybe he was still injured. Maybe it was still the concussion. Maybe it was something. It was this, that's just different things. So to me, at halftime during that game, I was like, there is no way CJ Stroud's going to come out and start the second half, but he did. And let me tell you something. And I'm telling you this because I met someone that's close to the organization. The defense was not too happy with CJ. I'll just say that.
I Man, that boy can't win from losing. He even went and cut his hair. I don't like the pose he had in the mirror. That pose didn't help
You
him
look like a
out
little
either. But
boy.
see, CJ, tell CJ to go get a mustache and some stubble, huh? Yeah,
Yeah, but look, I don't think Tanner McKee is the answer for the Jets um, to save Aaron Glenn's job next season. I think we're both in agreement. If things go bad next year, Aaron Glenn is not back for a third season as a head coach with the Jets.
I I get it, but you can at least see Jeremiah's train of thought with this because
Yeah, of course.
it's about trends in the NFL too. You
Well,
know,
we
you
talked
got
about it. We
veteran
talked about
quarter.
it.
It's a veteran quarterback trend now.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe they'll dress in free agency. They're probably gonna have to overpay some players to go be a Jet, right? But I mean, you got to do
Yeah,
what you got to do.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, so let's move on, man. I want to move on to a story that did coincide with what we were just discussing in regards to a potential trade of Tanner McKee to the New York Jets, by proposed by Daniel Jeremiah. But so AJ Brown, man, another article by Kevin Patra. I I found this humorous a little bit. The fact that AJ Brown is still a story in Tennessee, but either way, with the offseason entering its upswing, the trade rumors surrounding Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver AJ Brown are just getting off the ground. Whether founded or unfounded, with Brown struggling and clearly perturbed throughout the disappointing 2025 campaign, trade speculation will occur. The big question is whether general manager Howie Roseman is ready to pull the plug on the star wide receiver, cut his losses, and move on to next, or if Philly is willing to ride out another campaign and hope the journey is smoother in 2026, which I kind of agree. You know, they're a better team with him, I believe, than without him. But one connection that will get plenty of run in the coming weeks of speculation is a potential trade to New England. Regardless of what the Patriots do with Stephon Diggs' contract, New England should look to add to the wide receiver room this offseason. With Drake May on a rookie deal, logic dictates they buffer the begoing young star with playmakers, even if they're more expensive in the short term. So we're gonna before we get to New England, we're gonna start with Philadelphia and all of this. Are they a better team without him next season? And what is your plan without him?
Oh, are they a better team without him? I would say no, but the distractions would not be there. So then maybe you can say yes. But as far as talent goes, no. Again, depending what they do in the draft and free agency. But I mean, to me, yeah, this has been going on for the last couple of years, and I know that they won the Super Bowl, two seasons ago, and things, seem to be all good in that. But I think you got to move him. I mean, just I don't want to call him antics, but I guess you kind of have to. Him, with the argument with the coach and then the book and the tweets and all this other stuff, and I think it's a distraction. So I mean, if you're Howie, you know, you might want to move him, but it's going to cost you, right? Because you're gonna have to eat some of the money to whatever team is going to trade for him.
True. All right. So how this plays into New England? A trade to New England. Before the trade to Philly in 2022, the Whiteout spent 3 seasons in Tennessee under current Patriots coach Mike Vrabel. During a recent episode of the Dudes on Dudes podcast with Rob Gronkowski and Julian Edelman, which was published on Thursday, Brown said he used to hate their former coach. Quote, Vrabel is the type of coach that he's going to call you in the meetings, Brown said. He wants to make sure you're staying engaged, and he's going to go over the keys to victory of the week. You better know them by the back of your hand, or you. I used to write in my notebook because at the time I really didn't like Braves. I didn't like him, and I admitted that he knows that. So I used to write, I hate Braves. I hate Braves. I hate Braves. I was doing that to pretend like I was taking notes, to look like I was engaged. But because he was so hard on me when I was a rookie, and I really didn't understand it. So at that time, I told Braves, like, hey, like I'm humble already. You don't gotta humble me. But I really didn't understand what he was trying to do. Push me to be another little quick thing. He showed a clip and I ran like a bang eight route and I scored. He praised me. So I was kind of feeling good about myself, right? I'm a rookie. And a couple of plays later, he showed me another bang eight play and I get tackled. He was like, what's the difference between the first and the second play? And he was like, you're tired. He was like, that's not going to cut it. He like the same mentality that you showed on the first play. You should show all the time. That's who you are. Like this right here. That's not going to cut it. When I say he holds every single player accountable from top to bottom, I don't care who it is. Like that's who he is, and it makes the team come together because nobody is bigger than the team. Nobody is bigger than the program, so you have to respect it. I love hearing stuff like that because regardless of what people say or may feel about AJ Brown, I think he gets it. You know, whether it's a job, not so much a job, but when you play sports, you got coaches who coach you really hard. Before you come around to them and you understand what they're doing, you can kind of feel that way about them. I hate them. I hate them. You don't really hate your coach, but you hate them. You
Yeah,
get what I'm saying. I mean,
when someone
yeah,
holds you accountable, things like that, and things might get a
yeah.
little bit
What
uncomfortable.
I pull from that, yeah, what I pull from that though is that he's probably one of his favorite coaches, and I
Yeah.
don't think he would have an issue with playing for him again. So
I mean, will it happen? Maybe.
I mean, you're
Um,
not big on the Patriots, so you don't even want to see them improve.
no, it's
That's
not
it.
that. But when I say certain things, and people want to call me out, and then I say something else, and I was right about, then it's kind of like they log off and remember what they said. But I do have some breaking news for you, though, if you want to hear it. This
Let's
is
go for it.
per Adam Schefter. Dallas and free agent running back to be Javonte Williams reach agreement on a 3-year deal, $24 million contract that includes $16 million in guaranteed money. So there you go.
All right, so roughly a 7 million, 8 million a year running back.
Yep,
Yep. Good for him. Good for him. I was a
he
big
played
fan of
well.
his in North Carolina. Yep. I
Just
thought
finally
he was going
healthy.
to hit the ground running. Thought
Me
he
too,
did,
but
but things didn't
injuries.
work out in Denver.
Yeah, I liked them. I liked them for the Cowboys last season.
Yeah. So, all right, man. Let's get into maybe one or two more stories
Then
from
we
the
got time
week.
for one more.
All right. What you want to go through? We got NFL news roundup. Raiders hire Rick Dennison as their O line coach. You want to go there?
We can. I believe he coached for his dad for Gary Kubiak
Okay. Around
back
the
in.
NFL staff, NFL.com. So, coaching news. Oh, it's nothing really on that particular story, but so
Oh, look at
what
that
do you
catch!
really know about?
Let's watch some of these catches that
What do
Mike
you?
Evans is doing.
You gonna do it in a Raider jersey next year?
Yeah,
Hey, hey, hey!
yeah. I get it. I feel you, man. I get it. Tom, call
Mendoza,
Mike.
Mendoza throwing back shoulders to Mike
Call
Evans.
Mike,
I don't
Tom.
know, man.
I believe he was on the same coaching staff as back in with the Denver Broncos back in 2010 when they won the Super Bowl. Was it 2010?
Okay.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, 2010. and he was on the coaching staff with his dad. So there's a little bit of a connection there. And then of course he was on the staff as well. Clint was.
Mm.
So and we know how bad the offensive line played was last season. So
Yeah, I want to ask you about that, man, because you got a lot of youth on that offensive line too. Then you guys draft Charles Grant.
yep, he did not play a lot of game for I don't know what reason, but yeah,
He was viewed as a project. Also, he came for William and Mary.
yeah,
Yeah,
we had talked about him during the off season.
yeah. So, uh, who do you view as the rocks of that offensive line right now? Because I think more than anything else, you can hire a new offensive line coach, and you're kind of bringing him in to okay, take these balls of clay we have that we invested these draft picks in and turn them into diamonds or whatever. Doesn't always happen that way. Some offensive linemen just suck. That's what it is. Some guys can grow. Some guys are naturals at the position. But what do you view as the number one need on that offensive line right now heading into this
Oh
draft?
man, we need to figure out what they're going to do with Jackson Powers Johnson. I mean, we saw 2 years ago he was playing majority. It was believe it was center and then guard and then back to guard last year. For whatever reason, Pete Carroll, his son, did not see him as a center. I believe he had won the award of being the best center in college football before he was drafted. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he did. Um, so, and then obviously on the left side, you don't have to worry about too much with Colin Miller, but he was dealing with injuries. He's getting up there in age. He was in that same draft class as McGlinchey that used to play for the Niners, and now he was with the Broncos. I mean, essentially, this whole line needs a reshuffle. They really do. I mean, besides Colton and Jackson Powers Johnson, I think every other position on that line is available. They need a guard. They need, a right tackle, and that's going to be one of the keys this offseason, right? Is them addressing the offensive line. They got to protect Fernando Mendoza.
True. I think that's more important than going out and getting him big time flashy weapons and everything. You got a running
Look
back.
what the Bears
You
did.
got two tight ends.
Look what the Bears did last
Exactly.
offseason to protect Caleb. So I would imagine the Raiders are going to do something
Yeah.
similar.
No, definitely. I think, like I said, you got a running back. Even if you don't think he's a generational talent, he's at least a 13, 14, 1,500 yard back. So that's good enough. You got two solid tight ends. I agree 100%. I think this draft should be about, even if you draft four offensive linemen in this draft, you need to make sure that you solve that offensive line before you solve anything else because the process should go great offensive line, lean on rushing attack with Genty, who was a top 5 pick a year ago. And if you draft another running back or you get another running back in free agency, add to that. And you got two tight ends. This team is going to be built for 12-man personnel,
Yep.
13-man personnel consistently.
And
So,
a little
yeah,
a little bit about Rick Dennison. So he's got over 30 years of NFL coaching experience. He's been an offensive coordinator with the Broncos, Buffalo Bills, Houston Texans. Recent roles served as a run game coordinator as a senior offensive advisor for the 2025 Super Bowl winning champs, Seattle Seahawks. So another coach from the Seahawks team joining the Raiders.
I like it. Not just because the Seahawks won the Super Bowl this year, but because I've been a huge fan of that organization, um, how they're built, how they conduct themselves, how they run things, how they draft, their philosophies when it comes to the
Yep.
draft. And I would take anybody from that team almost right now. We talked about during the Super Bowl was it the defensive coordinator from there, or was it the defense? No, the defensive backs coach. We talked about them potentially bringing over the defensive
Was it
backs
Nico
coach.
Thorpe?
Yeah, I believe so. It was. So I'm a fan, dude. Like I'm glad to see you guys are perceivably moving in the right direction
Yep.
right now, and just don't screw it up, man.
All right. So with the Javante Williams news, so here's a look at the free agent top running backs that were going to be available. So obviously you got Kenneth Walker the third, you got Brees Hall, you got Travis Etienne, Tyler Algier, Rico Dowdle, and J.K. Dobbins. So those are the
Okay,
top running backs available.
JK's is off the list.
Well,
JK's off the list.
injuries.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah, he's if I'm the Raiders, he's not on the
I think
list.
a sneaking one here is Tyler Algier. We saw what
Yeah,
he
I was
was
gonna
able to
say him.
do. when Bijan was not
Yep.
in. So, and to me, he's a one.
Yep. Ran.
He's a you know
What I mean.
he reminds me of Zach Charbonnet. He really does. The
Yeah.
style running that
Yeah.
they both play.
Well, people forget the year before they drafted Bijan, he ran for I think 1,100 yards that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, the year before. So he's got still got a lot of tread on the tires. Bijan be getting steadily more of the touches the last couple of years. So you're getting a young, healthy
Yeah.
running back. You have to. I think it's about pairing the right running back with Genty. Now, of course, do you want Genty to be the number one guy? Sure, but you pair. I don't know how much you would pay Brees Hall in free agency, but
What's he gonna
you pair Brees Hall with him. But
What's he gonna command?
yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know exactly what you would pay him, but in theory, somebody good. You don't want just or Rico Dowdell. Say the Panthers feel like they're not going to re-sign him. They feel like they're going to pick high enough to go after a
Jeremiah Love.
not- Jeremiah Love, a trade up for a guy like that. You can get him in free agency. I've seen. I don't believe it because there's been talks about the Lions being done and cutting David Montgomery. If
Yeah,
you wanted to get a
he's not coming
veteran
back.
over there, yeah, you want to get a veteran over there in the room with him, Ashton Genty, that's
No.
possible. But yeah, things are trending up, man. Yeah. All right. I want to thank everybody for joining us this Saturday afternoon. Uh, hopefully next Saturday we'll be back, but it'll be back in the AM, unless we can start doing this as a Saturday afternoon thing. I don't know, but I think it's refreshing to actually go through NFL.com and actually go through some of the biggest stories of the actual week.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say before we close this out?
Well, we got the combine coming up next week. Kicks off on Tuesday, and obviously it's going to run through Sunday. So excited for that. A lot of these deals that potential trade stories, like Max Crosby, AJ Brown. I think if those do happen, a lot of the work is going to get done next week in Indianapolis. And yeah, man, it's the off season, but there's always something going on.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it any better. Thanks everybody for joining us. Take care.
See ya.